Hocam mikrofonunuz kapalı.
Okay. Sorry. I didn't want to interrupt Ibrahim, so this is why. But today's participation was good. Everyone was joining right away. So sorry.
I told you we will need 5 more Zoom meetings. But
yeah, exactly. It's going to that.
Yeah, actually, it's another topic. If someday in the future we can have another session to cover it more deeply. But again, like marketing is the key point here on mobile gaming. Marketability, having a game that marketable enough to scale, and also addicted enough to keep play your games. If you find that balance, it's not that hard. It not only depends on the money, by the way. Like, this is the reason. If you have money and don't have any game, it doesn't work.
And are there any, we are sometimes falling into the trap of survivorship bias. We are only seeing success stories by, good development teams, and we are skipping over the failures of many hyper casual, hyper casual studios, and not only hyper casual studios, but also generally game studios that have failed. Are you like, do you think you were on the edge of failure, or how do you think you can mitigate the risk of failure for your first game company?
For hyper casual aspect, you need to fail a lot because you will be learning by your failures. Again, if you start working with the publisher, they all, like, you have nothing to lose actually. Like, the contract that they always provide that covering your development cost like until you just release the game with them. If not, at the end of the contract, you don't have any obligations to pay back or something. And this is a nice thing for a small studios that want to start here. At least you will be decreasing your risk here to maintain your daily activities or something. And again, but I also mentioned one thing here. We always saying that, hey, go work with publisher and get their money for your prototype and get your covering costs and everything. But you also need to think about one thing in your mind. As soon as you start with the publisher in hyper casual, maybe the others also the same. In our let's say genre, you start feel like you are not doing a game for the players. You start feel like you are doing a game for your publisher, and this is a bad thing. If you stuck on those kind of thinking, it won't work. You always need to think that you are making a game for players, not publishers. I know some studios that work with publisher, and they always like, hey, did you like it? Did you like it? Or, hey, how is it? Like, is red color is good? Knowledge is great. They need to transfer their knowledge to you. Not like, I don't like it. I didn't like it. Don't do that. Don't put red on here. They always need to tell you the reason behind not putting the red on the players or something. I mean, this is an example, but if you want to start working with publisher here, their knowledge is great. I'm pretty sure that they have more know-how than yours. But again, you always keep in your mind that you are making a game for players, not for publishers. Any question?
Well, I was going to ask that about publishers. What should we expect from them? What parts do they do the job they handle? Sorry, and how much they intervene your game. Uh, for example, if I just make an arrangement with a publisher, uh, how much do I have control on my game after the arrangement?
Nice question. So if you start working with the publisher, they need to give some sort of iterations to you, but again, it needs to have some sort of meaning behind it. As soon as they start giving an iteration because they want it, without saying you the reason behind it, there's something wrong there. You always need to ask, okay, you are asking me to do this, but why? Or because if you don't get those answers, you will not have that knowledge. You will not know that why are you doing this, or that kind of stuff. And you always need to ask that. You always need to work together. And this doesn't mean that don't like ask everything, but you also need to have some sort of auto control of your own side, and you always need to filter the things that you are going to ask to the publisher, because publishers always busy. I know that. I'm also working with another developers, but what we have also some sort of program that we say that co-development instead of publishing, because we are developing games together with another studios, not just like publishing their games, but we always try to be transparent and open to the partners that we work with, because and always give the reason behind why we are asking any iterations. Because for me, if the partner that I'm working together starts thinking same as I am, we will have more success in the future. If we start thinking about the same thing, then it's fine. If we always arguing some stuff, it's also fine, because it means that you are also insisting your own idea to the publishers, not always accepting their stuffs. So yeah, always ask them to be open to you while you're working for any aspect, because I know that publishers always try to be more close to the developers, because they don't want you to know all the stuffs behind the publishing stuffs, but you can always ask them to get some sort of answers here.
Yeah, for instance, they will be asking you to change some colors to other colors maybe, or they want to change, I don't know, your menu orientation. Maybe they want to change your shop, and if they ask, maybe you can get some insights. They have huge expertise for similar games, and if even if they're not willingly sharing, you can try and learn from them. I mean, even the the members from the the old members from those companies are talking in seminars, etc., and they're sharing some valuable information. There, some of them may be outdated, but still the type of thinking is the thing that matters, I believe.
Yeah. For example, as Onat mentioned, if they ask you to change the color of the button, you always ask them to put actually define a parameter to change the colors in runtime, and you can go an A/B test with it. Where they can say that, hey, put red to this button, and you can say that, hey, okay, red button can work on your other games, but I also want to try the blue one, and let's go an A/B test. You can start testing there, because this business is something that you learn everything every day, a new thing every day. So it doesn't mean that you need to stick with you cannot, how can I say, you can, okay, now know how great, but what I saw is we have 7 games on the right now, but if we test one feature for our one game, we always test it to other games too, but one feature can work very well with one game. It doesn't mean that it will also work the next one. We always test it because we give it a try, then start adjusting around it. So the key feature is a failure and testing a lot. Not only the testing a lot of prototypes, also the testing the mechanics that you are in one prototype with different variables. Maybe the jump height could change the difference, would make the differences, and it will bring a lot of it will have an impact to the retention rate for the players. You cannot know it, but I think the knowledge is here to defining the variables that that affect your games. Yeah, for example, you can create a game. You can have a more mechanic. Let's say that a platformer. But the knowledge is here. Actually, the know-how here, not knowing the height of the player, but knowing the making the height changeable. I do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for, let's say that not knowing the 5 meter of height jump, but know-how of having that parameter changeable.
So you need, I mean, you don't need to foresee the best parameters for your game, but you need to make your game flexible so that you accept that you don't know the best parameter for your game, but you are able to try different variables and pick the best one that goes well. And also for those who don't know the A/B testing, A/B testing is a testing method that releases multiple versions of your game with small changes, such as color palettes or small animations, etc. You can if your game if your team is not is arguing about which art style goes best for your game. For instance, you can release them both and see the end results, statistics, ad revenues, etc., and decide to go with one at the end of a period of, let's say, 3, maybe 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
by the way,
and it's really super easy to make those changes and those A/B tests in the mobile game.
And I will be asking our students to develop a game, and I will be accepting hyper casual games if they choose to develop. them, since it will be their first journey. But I will be, I will expect them to, use a clear way of communicating of what they're doing. So the code should be as clean as possible and as maintainable as possible. So I mean, like you said, I will talk about this in our next sessions, but the general idea is the flexible code base and also the easy to maintain systems. Yeah, and I had some other questions. Yeah, I was thinking about the time when you said if you have 4 developers, you need to uh, publish a game every week, and I hear
Not publish, prototyping a game. In hyper casual, prototyping a game, at least one game per week.
okay, I heard some things that goes like, a developer should be able to create a prototype in 2 or 3 days at most for a hyper casual company. But are those real realistic approaches? I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure what they expect or something like that.
It really depends on the prototype they make. Yeah, sometimes we also do one prototype in 2 days if the developer starts from the early in the morning. But again, I mean, the prototype means, like for me, it's a game playable enough to put on the store to start testing. So if you having a loop, at least some small like initial UI with some buttons, and then the core loop ready without and bug free to track the data and get preparing it, putting on the store, waiting for the reviewing by the store guidelines, and it takes 1 week usually if you count as a whole life cycle. But like prototyping is a mechanic. I think if you have an idea, you don't need to stay here. You need to go to open Unity as soon as possible and start scratching from there. It depends on the idea, but it can be something from 3 hours prototype to 1 day prototype that you can that the team can play without having any build, just from the editor as soon as possible to start testing, to start seeing the feeling of the gameplay. But then, I mean, imagine that you are working with a publisher, you are 4 people, and you need to, at least in my opinion, you need to test 1 game per week from start to finish, having everything ready in the store with all the third-party SDKs. And then you just put it on the store on Friday, start waiting the reviewing process, and the publisher can start, or you can start testing, acquiring some users to collect some data. And I think this is the best scenario. But again, it doesn't mean that you can develop 2 games with the 4 people in 1 week. You can do it. But I think my point is the minimum, at least point, if you want to start working with the publisher, okay, if you count that, if you can find a publisher that pays 5K per prototype, and you are 4 people, and you are making 1 prototype per week, at the end of the month, you will have 4 prototypes, and you will be getting 20K. 20K is a great money for Turkey if you are living in Turkey. So, but again, it brings another question. Don't behave publishers as your customers, because your customers are players. They are only the bridges that bridge the players to your game.
And one other thing, since like all the hyper casual games have some common features such as login screen, leaderboards, a shop maybe, and stuff like that. Are you? I mean, I don't think you are rewriting them for every hyper casual game you are developing. How are you reusing the existing code base?
Yeah, we have a flexible template that is just like a module. It's modular. It's in our template. So whenever the game needs a shop system, we just like getting the shop module and implementing in the store. And we have one main template that covers everything, which is well-written structured code. And every designer, the people who doesn't know writing the code maybe knows how to scripting most stuffs, some animations, some movements or something. They can really start prototyping their own ideas immediately with the code base that we have. But again, for the advertisement, for the analytics, we have template. It's super important to have your own template because it really brings a lot of speed to your progress here, because then you don't need to think about everything every time, same things every time. So it leaves you time to focus on the gameplay more. And for me, for prototypes, we don't need leaderboards, we don't need shops, we don't need all the stuffs. Just pure gameplay with the basic UI, with the main menu and menu, all those stuffs, and enough to get gameplay feeling for the first prototype. Yeah, then rest is always coming right after the other one.
Yeah, for the rest of this semester, I will be, covering basic game developments without going into depths of those common tasks such as leaderboards, etc. But next term, we will probably focus on writing a similar template. So that's when a hyper casual company asks for a fast prototype in a job application, let's say, we will be ready to create a prototype rapidly.
Yeah, that's as I told you, that's pretty important. And one thing, while just creating those kind of structured template, you always think that anyone else in the team needs to use that template without needing you, without the people who develops it. It's super important to make it intuitive for everyone with all the naming, all the structures. Just bear in mind.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah.
If not, then thank you very much for your participation.
I think we have a.
We have a question?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, great. I thank you to inviting me and letting me to tell our story, and I hope I was clear enough to everyone. Maybe the monetization side was smallest part of it. The questions and the answers part was kind of more than the other ones. But the today topic was monetization. So yeah, I think if you want to reach out to me, if you want to ask any questions with your all the projects in the future, you can please feel free to write me an email or just like add me onto LinkedIn and say hi. I'm always trying to answer those kind of questions.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, so I think have a nice evening in Turkey.
Yeah.
Night,
Thank
maybe
you.
almost.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you. Good evening.
See you. Good evening.